ঈশ্বর আপনি যাচ্ছেন না? হ্যাঁ, চলে যাচ্ছেন? চলে যাবেন? Good evening. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals, IGP Bangladesh. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals, IGP Bangladesh. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable knowledge seekers, today I am your host for the evening. My name is Jannatul Naima. I am from Bangladesh. Dear knowledge seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. IGP, a non-profit organization, is a social and ISO certified international training institute. In 3 years, we already served 3 million knowledge seekers from 100 countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 250 professions and 4,500 organizations. Institute of Global Professionals IGP and ISO 9001 2015 and 10002 2018 is a training facility for skill development which was founded in 2020 and is generating competent candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professionals qualifications. The Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institute that provides social work globally recognized and reputable. We serve students and community resources, providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not the effective to increase one's skills just by acquiring formal education. So, we provide effective training and consultation to generate proficient generation all over the world. We distribute our services locally, nationally, and internationally to students, job seekers, job holders, and also for learners through respective campus location and distance learning platforms. We are an occupational and dependable institution. IGP is one of the famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is education isn't a business product, it's a part of our human rights. Based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, courses, awards, quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling, etc. On the other side, we also trying to serve more than 100 premium services for free like create own portfolio website, resume builder, cover letter, motivation letter and world knowledge platform for gathering general knowledge which can upgrade all in. Kids learning game website, free courses, converter sites and many more. We help to empower youth to learn to meet their expectations and dream and become highly skilled people. We implement several training programs, webinars, and offline online courses for youth and learners by professional trainers, speakers, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals to develop all kind of youth and to promote the education of their abilities and responsibilities. To ensure excellent and in-depth instruction, we arranged with qualified trainers, speakers, and instructors. We extended free services to more than 3 million knowledge seekers in the last 3 years. We have affiliation with universities and organizations in 70 different countries. Virtual mock singings with many colleges and organizations have been accomplished. We are working to create a legendary generation of future scholars and citizens who will be accountable. We are constantly prepared to assist all knowledge seekers with valuable service. Spreading knowledge is crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals. We believe that knowledge is love and light and vision. So we try to spread to understand the needs of today's generation and will serve them with good research and practice method. We must have a genuine concern for the learners we represent. Most diversity, growth, and innovation are required. To lead a session with professionalism, patience, and integrity, IGP members are committed to offering effective, best quality service and continual improvement so that individual who seeks information can improve their skill levels and value. Before we move to the next, let me remind don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we already completed 1154 webinars successfully. Wow. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we already completed 1154 webinars successfully. At present, we are going to start our 1155 program, which name is Student Centric Learning. And today, our speaker is Dr. Shovik Ganguly. Before I hand over the stage to Sir, want to share a little bit about our speaker. He is Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical and Instrumentation in Engineering, Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology. Now, very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Hello, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. From behalf of IGP Knowledge Seekers, wants to hear from you about you.
Okay. Okay, fine. So let me go to the presentation. Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the nice and kind words from you. And of course, it has been a long time since I have been associated as a speaker, as a resource person for IGP, one of the leading uh, centers or one of the leading organizations who are having organizing webinars spontaneously for the last 2 or 3 years, as you have been telling. And I had been also being fortunate to be associated with IGP. Unfortunately, due to a technical glitch and due to some traveling issues, my video is not on. And perhaps in my next delivery, of course, we will be seeing me live as well as speaking me live. So with this, let me start my presentation today, which is a very, very interesting topic. And my slides are also interesting to you. There'll be plenty of slides which we have quoted out here, which will be very much interesting for the new learned teachers who are entering into the teaching profession, be it in schools, be it in universities, be it in colleges, etc. So myself, Dr. Shovik Ganguly, I'm serving as an assistant professor in the Department of Electrical and Instrumentation Engineering at Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala. I'll be taking you through in the next 1.5 hours through different aspects of student-centric learning. So basically, I'll talk about some issues which we are currently facing with the teaching profession, and based on which the change is from the teacher centric mode to the student centric mode, and why we are doing that. And we will also take up the views of some of the aspects related to teaching as a profession, that what qualities do a teacher have, or what kind of delivery pattern that the teacher will give, based on which I'll have some teaching philosophy, basically my teaching philosophy, basically I'll put my inputs to it, and then we'll gradually move into the Bloom's taxonomy, gradually move into the comparison between the teacher centric mode and the student centric learning as well. So I'll put my title as student centric learning, because every teacher is a learner, and at the same time it will be a good learning experience for the audience as well, for the participants as well, during this 1 hour session. So this is a little bit of about me. Of course, I can script it because most things are already there in my profile, and you can see my profile. Get to my Google my profile, and you can see it at my university website as well. So better to skip that, and let me take you to the first slide. So the first slide itself is a very interesting way of delivering a lecture. That uh, how do a teacher explain a topic in a class, whether he is imitating from exactly from the books, or whether he is innovating, or he is putting his own ideas, or trying to increase or quicken the process of learning. So, for which there is a very interesting quote of one of our famous poet of both sides of Bengal, that is Rabindranath Tagore. And Tagore said that a teacher who repeats what is written in the textbooks, he or she can only burden the minds of his or her students. He or she cannot quicken the process of learning. So, we cannot repeat what is there. So this is I told you that initially I'll go through some of the teaching philosophies. So it is not that we are reading from the books and we are just demonstrating the same things in the classroom. Let it be in your own way of teaching, right? So every teacher, if you are a student participant, every teacher has his own way of delivering. A few things we remember till now, even from our school days, childhood days, we still remember our teachers to be delivering in some interesting way, or with some interesting examples, which we too do recall at this point of time, even after pursuing our career in teaching for the last 16 or 17 years. So this is how we recall our teachers, our professors, our school teachers as well, our childhood teachers as well. So this is how it we recall them through some examples, through some way of their teaching. So it is a way that should quicken the process of learning, that will inspire the students to learn. So, what makes you feel that, what kind of a body language, what kind of a delivery pattern, what kind of an example, what interesting way will I engage my students to learn and quicken the process of learning? So, it should not be repetition of what is written in the textbooks, or what is in directly we cannot deliver. It is not we are simply burning. A student can also read it from the textbooks. I'll refer some textbook at the beginning of the course, and students can also refer then why they are supposed to come to my class and listen to my lectures, right? So information without inspiring, this, if inspiration is lacking, if we are just simply focusing on delivering some information or telling you some facts and figures, that will not do the job, dear. That will not do the job. As a teacher, we must know that we require to only not inform, but you should also inspire your students. Then one who are newly appointed teachers, for them it will be a burden, it will be a load. Of course, yes, it will be a load, definitely. So inspiration should be a part of your teaching, or how we can explain it, how we can say, for example, if there is one line written to it in a textbook, how we can say, for example, I am from an engineering site, so I'll derive in my own way some steps which were missing in the textbooks, and deliver it to the students. So this is how it goes. This is how a teaching looks like. This is how we should teach. We as a teacher should teach. Otherwise, our lecture becomes very boring. So of course, in that case, we we are not teachers. So in this particular context, there is a famous quote that small minds, they discuss people, they talk about people, they interact about people, and average minds, they discuss about anything that has happened, any event, any accident, any incident, right? But great minds should discuss about some ideas. This is equally applicable for students as well. Because if there is a student participant out here, he or she must discuss some good ideas, some innovative ideas. So we also, as teachers, should also discuss ideas rather than discussing about people, discussing about the different incidents and the occurrences around. So, this is where a teacher should differ from a common man. A teacher should dif- be different from an ordinary person. Now, this is a very important term we often use. Being a teacher, we often use this, coin this term as teaching load. How much is your teaching load? How much hours do you teach? Right? We call it a teaching load. But it should be, is it a teaching load? Is it a burden for us to teach? So better we should call it as a learning exposure, as a learning experience, as a learning pleasure, right? So of course, that's why I've given teaching, whether it's a load or whether it's a pleasure. So of course, this is a common coinage in every university, in every college, in every school, that how much load is being assigned to a teacher. This is not a load. Let it be a fun experience. Let it be a learning experience. Let it be a transfer of knowledge or a transfer of learning taking place between teachers to students. So, this is how it should be. Rather, we should not call a teaching load from now on. We should call it a teaching pleasure. So, absolutely, this is my philosophy of looking at the things. You may slightly differ, or you may break the convention and come out of it and try to apply them in your respective university or colleges. Now, coming to why do we require to teach, or what we are teaching? Is it relevant outside? Say, for example, our engineering graduates are passing out. Are we able to teach something which they will apply in their real time situations? Right? Whether they have learned to look beyond the boundary, okay, whether they have learned which can be applied or relevant outside as well, whether we have been able to inculcate the things in them so that they have learned something new, there are takeaways which will be applicable for their real time scenarios. So that is how uh, you gain as a teacher, or that is how you experience as a teacher. So the very last word that we are saying, that are we creating some paper tigers? There is one example I'll quote out here. Through the verbal mode of teaching, are we creating some paper tigers? Do this relevance, which we can easily get through a movie which was I think released around 8-10 years back on the engineering students, that's called Three Idiots. So in that particular story, I'll not going through the movie detailed movie, but in that case, we have came across an incident where there was a degree on the wall of a student, right? That degree was done by someone else, okay, in the name of someone. So basically, what we understand by this paper tigers, that he or she is a gold medalist, but he does not know anything about the degree program, right? So that is why we meant to say, if you are belonging from other countries, definitely you can switch on Three Idiots. It's a very wonderful movie on engineering graduates, and everyone, from student perspective, from teachers perspective, everyone should go and watch it. Now, what sort of skill set is required that a student, say for example, we are teaching continuously electrical engineering for the undergraduate students. So some generic skills, some basic skills must be learned from the student by the student, so that when they go from one place to another or go from switch from one job to another, they are their basic skills or their generic skills which they have been trained with should not go away. So every student should be trained with certain basic skills or certain generic skills, so that he or she does not face any problem at the time he or she is switching any job. There is another thought process that we normally do it as a theory first and then teach them in the practical classes. Why not the reverse? Why don't they we expose them in some practical knowledge with some practical skills, and working on those circuits or working on those particular laboratory experimentations or laboratory assignments, they learn the theory itself. So another philosophy which we are quoting out here, that normal practice is teaching theory first and then teach practical, or then execute the practical of the things. And once again, this is applicable for the technical courses or the science based courses which involve some practical courses or practical experience. So, better to teach practical, or better to go through the practical lessons first, and in the process, the student will learn the theory. Then only, when they are visualizing the things, when they are seeing the things, when they are performing the experiments live, of course they will be able to grasp more, and they don't need to mug it up, they don't need to remember the things they have learned. To develop some analyzing skill, the understanding skill, or the concept building phase will start immediately developing. So what I mean to say is summed up over here is that your teaching learning process should not be a monologue. It should not be a student centric. It should be student centric. It should not be teacher centric. It's not all the time that I go on bombarding some concepts, bombarding some theories, bombarding some practice sessions. Every time I'll go on, I'll speak, I'll do the things. Let us have some activities. Let us have some group activities. Let us have some quizzing activities. Let us have some assignments where students from form some groups. They do some project work. Uh, they do some assignments. Their skills, their skill sets develop. They understand the concepts, they try to analyze the things. So it should come from within the student. So student is also equally responsible to the task in the student centric process. If I have a belief that unless and until I teach a subject, the students will not learn, this is not true. Say for example, we had been teaching, around 8 to 10 faculties have been teaching a particular subject. Irrespective of the teaching process, irrespective of which teaching group they are in, they were able to perform. The good students have performed well, right? And the bad students have performed miserably. So this breaks our concept that unless and until I teach, the students will not learn. It is not dependent upon student. It's the learning process. We have to ignite that learning process. We have to inspire that learning phase of the student. Unless and until this is done, no one will be able to make the classes interesting. Nobody will make them learn, right? So it is not teacher dependent. Students do not learn from the teachers. Students are have to have the willingness to learn. So the ignition should be provided by the teachers. The inspiration will be developed by the teachers. So I think I have missed out the equation. Uh, Let me just recall from my slide. I think due to some problem with the equations which I have written, it is not visible. Let me check out at my original PPT where I have put these sort of thing. Yes, I can find it out. It's the equation goes like this: the amount of it's a efficiency of learning. We tried to impose upon or find out the efficiency of the learning process. And once again, before that, before going into that, we will also see that who is responsible for learning. As we had been talking about student centric learning, who is responsible for the learning process? It's the student who is responsible for the learning and not the teachers. Teacher is to deliver, inspire, ignite. All those things will be done by the students, but at the bottom line, the student should be equally responsible to the task to understand the learning process, right? So basically what I thought of explaining it through this is that we calculate the efficiency of learning, that how well a student will learn. And this will be dependent upon two factors: one, amount of learning by the students, and the efforts made by the students. So see over here what I am defining: the efficiency of learning by the amount of learning that is made by the students upon the efforts made by the students. So, is there any teacher associated with this equation in the learning process? No, certainly not. It's all about students. So, amount of learning by students upon the effort made by the students. So, the efficiency of learning in this equation for efficiency of learning, your teacher is completely absent. So, what effort should be there from the teacher? The teacher will try to reduce the effort made by the students. So basically, the denominator part is being reduced by the teacher. So the effort that needs to be made by the students, that effort is being minimized through their delivery, through some interesting examples, through some development of new concept or new techniques by virtue of which we are able to inculcate some or reduce the effort of learning. Now this is applicable to any of the courses that you may take up for, be it engineering, be it science, be it any course related to arts as well. So what should be some breakdown of a particular course? There should be some ingredients. Basically, we call it information or data, some formulas, some empirical formulas, right? Some concepts, definitely. Each and every subject has some concepts. Each and every subject has some principles or theorems or concepts, likewise. And we, as an engineer, we teach certain applications of that, right? We teach how to do it, that is a procedure of that. Then we say we going for the analysis part, we going for synthesizing part, and finally we give some decision making part. So decision making is another important concept in the teaching of engineering subject. Once again, so we have some information, we have some data, as ingredient, we have some formulations, right? We have some concepts, we have some principles. Based on the concepts and the principles of the theorems, we develop certain applications. Apart from that, we come across certain procedural, say for example, I'll do some concept, I'll do some theorem, I'll do some uh, applications or something of that sort, where there will be a step by step procedure, there will be a flow chart to define that particular procedure. Then we should always analyze. Say for example, I am personally dealing with certain circuits or certain control systems, where we need some circuit analysis, we need certain synthesizing of the circuit as well. And final is the decision making part. This is most important part for being an engineer. In the decision making, often we find that the students fail. So this comes with certain levels of learning or certain hierarchy of learning, which we call as Bloom's taxonomy. So we are gradually moving on into the student centric approach of learning, or student centric approach of teaching rather, and coming to the discussion on Bloom's taxonomy. So there will be the lowest level of knowledge or intellectual hierarchy, we call it, which we remember or reproduce. So you may see, as a student, you may see that there will be some questions in your question paper that requires reproducing something, or it comes from your memory. So that is what we call as the lowest level of intellectual hierarchy. Then you understand some concepts, some principles, right? So the next level will be to understand it. After that, now once we have understood the concepts, once we have developed the concepts, once we have learned few formulas, know how to remember and reproduce, now is the ability that has to be checked is whether we have been able to apply those concepts in some practical examples, in some practical life, whether we are able to analyze from a particular principle, whether we are able to analyze from a particular concept or a principle or a theorem. And finally, of course, finding an alternative path. That means what we are able to develop some creativity or develop some decision making ability in it. So that is the topmost or the highest hierarchy level over here. So over here, as you may see that we have defined this Bloom's taxonomy as a method as a means by virtue of which we are able to associate every level of learning. So remembering stage is understanding or remembering are the lowest level of intellectual hierarchy. Remembering and reproducing from memory, if we are able to recall and reproduce, that is the lowest level. Then comes you understand some concepts, some basic principles of a particular subject. So understanding is proper, you are able to do certain uh, statements or certain theoretical questions. Now comes applying those principles, those concepts, those theorems, whether we are able to analyze the situation in a real time problem, whether we are able to evaluate that, whether we are in a position to evaluate that. So that comes mostly under some assignments or something of that sort. And finally, going to the higher order skills, that is the decision making skills or creating something, making something creative in development of a new product or development of a new project or something of that sort. So that shows that you are creative as well. So this is the level of the student's learning ability. It goes from remembering and it reaches a height of creativity. So we have to address uh, onwards for applying, analyzing, evaluating as and developing the creativity in the student, so that they are able to find out some alternate means, they are able to find out make some useful decisions by virtue of which the society can get benefited. Now, there are two categories. This is from the student perspective. I think the students will better understand it. When a teacher enters a class, there is a lot of happiness. The students find the teacher to be interesting, right? And when the teacher leaves the class, the students feel happy. This is another category. The students do not accept him or her as a teacher. So this is class B, and category A or category B, or class A and class B, in which I personally believe that a teacher should be like that. Even we have faced many a teachers in our classrooms, in our engineering profession, in our school, in our tuitions. We seldom divide the students into two categories. Category A, when your teacher comes to the class, we feel that no, there will be something interesting today, something in store for us today. And there are teachers as well, when he or she leaves the class, we feel that we are happy, extremely happy. So both categories are persistent in the teaching profession. So being a teacher, you should belong to category A rather than in category of class B. So, what should be the qualities of a teacher before we move on for the student centric part and go into the theoretical analysis or the literature part related to what developments have taken place through the different stages of student centric learning? So these are some of the points that we should feel that you should have these type of qualities to be a teacher. As a teacher, you must be prepared to learn. So learning is a never ending process for a teacher, how old he or she might be. So once he or she stops learning, his career is at stake. So as a teacher, you must be prepared, you must be uh, prepared enough to learn something new each day. Even today, even after teaching for 15, 16 years, we do feel that there are certain concepts which we feel that, say, for example, I was teaching a particular course last semester, I'm teaching the course again in the next semester. There will be some 5-10% improvement in my lecture delivery, in my lecture PPT, in my assignments, or in my taking quizzes, or in my tutorials which I frame for the new students. There will be at least something new to learn. Otherwise, the teacher's job will be a monotonous process. He or she will not enjoy the process of teaching. A teacher should be ready to take up any interdisciplinary projects, because we had been associating our collaborators from different parts of our country, working on different areas like IoT, power electronics, renewable energy applications. And we had formed a big team now of around 7 to 8 people, and with whom we are doing some collaborative research. We are growing some good amount of international and national level patents as well, in which the expertise of the interdisciplinary approach is being utilized. We have in our team some persons from electronics background, myself from electrical side, some person from electronics, some persons from control systems, some person is there from renewable energy applications. So when we are making any interdisciplinary projects, they all their inputs come together and we finally take a decision to go in for a particular project. So this is how it works. So I'd be ready to take up any interdisciplinary project where I should contribute, as well as I will also listen to the decision or listen to the expertise of the different team members. I'll be able to design some activities in the class so that there is some happiness in the life of the students. So some interesting thought processes, some interesting examples which a student will learn and remember for a long period of time, as well as when they pass out, when they go away from the university, they will still remember me as a teacher. So this is how it works. So I think this should be one of the few qualities or of a teacher, that they should be engaging their students in some sort of activities, group assignments, laboratory exercises. They will be involved in some sort of activity that will bring happiness to the life of the students. So these are some of the interesting qualities which I thought that I should share with you people. Now there is another thing which comes with some technical courses, preferably, or science-based courses, preferably. That is a combination of intellect and value-based education. There are two terms which we are emphasizing today. One is KSA, which we call as knowledge, skill, and attitude. Of course, these qualities should be imbibed in a student, and for you to deliver to certain level, to develop some generic skills in a student, to develop the appropriate knowledge. Say, for example, a person who is teaching electrical engineering courses will be delivering in such a way that the basic knowledge, basic skill set that an electrical engineer should be having. So whether I have been able to inculcate that to my students or not. So from that perspective, from that particular perspective, and of course the attitude is also equally important. Sometimes there is knowledge, there is skill, but still there is not attitude. So KSA is another important factor which our education system demands. So our education system is demanding three important aspects. One is knowledge, skill, some basic skills, or some technical skills, some generic skills, some technical knowledge, and of course the attitude. Finally, that whether he or she, when he's going to the industry, whether he is ready to accept, to learn, and adapt to the situation. That's the attitude in him. That's a positive synergy in him to act. Another important aspect which we call as EQ: environment, experience, and education. So, what sort of environment is he in, right? Be it institute, be it home atmosphere, be it the city in which he or she lives, right? The experience he gathers, not only from teachers, but the experiences of life, experiences that he takes up from his friends, from his associations, and finally what kind of education that he is up to. So these two important parameters which I thought that I should mention over here, one is KSA, the other is EQ, where there will be a combination of both intellect as well as value being added to our education system. So, what's the mindset of the teachers? What should be the appropriate mindset of the teachers? This I'm going to discuss in this particular slide. So, it should not be degree focused. A teacher should be giving a mindset of an experience focused rather than degree focused. It should move towards experience focused mindset. So what we understand by this is basically degree focused means we are delivering the content only, delivering from the textbooks only, but this should not be the so. It should be how well we learn and how well we gather experience, and with experience what we are delivering. After that, we must learn to come out of the comfort zone into a world of opportunities. This particular example I'll give from my own experience, because I had been teaching few analytical courses at the beginning of my teaching career, like electromagnetic fields, like machine design, like network theory. So all are typically analytical courses which I taught over the years. Advanced control system is another, which was a critical course involving some nonlinearities in the physical systems. Difficult courses, analytical courses, practice based courses that you learn through the practice. But now, at certain point of time, I came out of my comfort zone and taught these courses, so that I have been able to gather experience from that. You should have, as a teacher, you should have a feel that I am a billionaire and I can create any wealth. It's not, I'm talking about only monetary benefits. I'm talking about intellectual benefits or intellectual wealth. Once again, we should make it a practice that we should praise our students amidst, when they are in groups, or uh, when they are in the class. We should not uh, blame them publicly. We should blame them privately. We can call them up in our respective faculty chambers. We can counsel them. We can discuss with them for any sort of attitude, any sort of misbehavior in the class, whatever issues are there. So these are, I think, some of the mindsets which a teacher should possess. Most important, that you should come out of your comfort zone and teach certain subjects, certain analytical courses, certain difficult courses which others cannot. This will help you uh, make a distinction with other teachers in the university, in the college, or in the institute you are at. So, and of course, we can create, if we can create any wealth, nothing better than this. Now, regarding the syllabus or the curriculum, how the teachers should divide or work upon as a means, and that how to devise some new experimentations, how to develop certain qualities in the students. So, first of all, uh, when we have an introductory class, when we expose the students with some syllabus, some sort of chapters that the students are going to read in the coming semester, or in the subject. So better make a good distinction amongst the units of the syllabus, clear cut distinction, so that the students have in their mindset that what I have to read, what I need to follow, what I need to go through the next 4 or 5 months. So, integrating or dividing or dividing the syllabus into certain sections, certain units. We call it, preferably in most of the technical courses or science courses or even the social sciences courses, mostly are having 4 to 5 units or 5 to 6 units as at most. So if I am able to clearly tell that this is a chapter which I'll start, these are my contents, these are my learning outcomes, what we are expected to learn, and these are my takeaways. So it is better for the uh, teachers to make direct inroads into the minds of the students. Students also will remain focused throughout the semester. At the same time, what the syllabus means to them, what, because students are more focused on grades, students are most focused on marks mostly. So what kind of desirable skills, or what kind of skill set is required, or what should I learn from this particular subject, this should be delivered initially or in the initial lectures or in the introductory lecture, so that the students get a complete picture about the subject, that what we are supposed to learn, and apply it in practical situation. We are not going to discuss, or we are not going to teach the syllabus. We try to develop the abilities or skills or generic skills or technical skills in the students, right? So it is not content based syllabus, rather we should go beyond content, and we should try to organize seminars, expert lectures, workshops, technical symposiums for the students, so that the students feel motivated to learn. They develop the skills that is required by the industry. Whether we are able to design any new experiment or laboratory assignments for the students, because this will help the students to learn more easily. That's why I told you in the beginning that why not practical first and theory next? Why should we teach every time theory first and then do the practical? Why not the reverse procedure? So, if we are able to put some laboratory assignments, devise some new experimentations in a particular subject, in a particular course, then of course the students will take interest to learn as well. So, first of all, dividing your syllabus into certain units or certain chapters or certain sections, and the syllabus should be a means for you to develop certain qualities in the student, certain desirable features in a student, certain generic skills or technical skills in a student. So try to identify any content that is beyond the syllabus and try to organize some seminars or expert talks. Nowadays, with online delivery, these things have become very easy. But most important thing is to create the interest in the students so that they feel the thrust to learn. Now, let me go to this, that how do we prepare our students? We are telling that if we are able to prepare our students to face certain unknown things, or at present what we are doing exactly, we are making the students face the known, but we have to come to a point or to a level that whether my students are able to face the unknown. Say, for example, we have discussed some concepts, we have applied them in the lectures, we have provided some tutorial sheets or practice sessions in which the problems have been solved, and now they let us come up with a problem which is unknown to them, whether they are able to apply their knowledge, whether they are able to apply their concepts, whether they are able to understand that how to tackle that particular problem. So this is how the student should be at least be given some problems, some assignments, some laboratory exercises where the students face the unknown. They try to come out of it and try to prepare themselves for anything and anything which is unknown to him. Quicker I learn, quicker I forget. This is another important philosophy. Say, for example, if you are not struggling as a student, if you are not struggling to learn, right, it will not remain in your memory for a long time. If I tell you at each and every step, if I give you hint at each and every step, being a teacher, so obviously you are not learning, you will be forgetting it. Maybe in a week's time, maybe in a month's time, or maybe by the end of the semester. So, for which we do some group tasks, group activities, individual assignments, group assignments to increase this particular learning process, to enhance the learning process or the memory skills that a student has. So, this is how we should prepare our students, because once again, we have to prepare our students to face the unknown, because once they are studying any technical course, once they are going for any platform, unknown platform, absolutely. So obviously the qualities, if you are not able to uh, ignite those qualities, students develop, the students to learn on their own, how will they keep on developing the new technologies, or uh, at certain point of time they will not be able to deliver any good to any industry. So this is how we should involve them in some group activities, group tasks, laboratory assignments, to enhance the learning process, or to uh, prolong the learning process. Now, this is what we understand. There are some knowledge which are being shared by the teacher to the students. So, this is what we are calling it as a teacher-centered learning process. So mostly the teacher will do the delivery, students will listen, they will try to remember, reproduce, they will try to understand the concepts and reproduce, they will try to. So higher order intellectual skills are absent. Mostly it's a test of remembering the things, it's a test of memory, it's a test how much they reproduce in the copy, right? So this was the old philosophy, which we are gradually moving on for, from the teacher centered approach to the student centered approach. So this is where the students can learn from educators, from their families, from their peers, from anything and anywhere, any digital media, direct learning. So they can learn from anywhere and everywhere. Now it is also a difficult situation sometimes for us as a teachers, because you simply give a statement to a student and students will definitely google it and check it out whether the teacher was correct or not, right? So we have immense sort of database available already, several ebooks already flooded in the internet and the online platforms, so that the students can learn from there itself, anytime, anywhere, from teachers, from peers, from families, right? Some from prior knowledge as well, right? And of course, googling it, definitely you have the internet access at every point of time, and you can simply put your search and you can check it out. So this has become really difficult, really challenging for the teachers as well, that students can immediately start asking questions once you teach them certain topics. So this is how the student centric model stands, and we will also study some of the benefits and some of the ideas that can practice through this student centric approach. First of all, let us learn some difference between the two approaches. So first is the teacher centered learning. It is content oriented, so it is based on absolutely on the content. It is on the content of delivery, on the content the teacher teaches you, definitely. The next, in the student centric process, we have the, through some discussions, through some presentations, through some reflections. So, of course, it is a process oriented part. There is no unidirectional feature, it is always student centric learning process is always a bidirectional process, unlike the teacher centric model, which is unidirectional. So, teacher plays an important role in or the central position, which we call it as an important role in the teacher centric model. Whereas in case of student centric approach, it's the students which occupy the main role, right? So students are passive learners or passive recipient of the information, and student, in case of student centric learning, the students they construct their own knowledge. In teacher centric approach, of course, the learning is starting from outside, whereas in case of student centric learning, it comes from within. So it is a responsibility, equal responsibility of the student, that how well they will learn from a particular subject or a particular teacher, or from a textbook, from an ebook, from some e-learning platforms, everything. So three terms basically we should highlight over here. First of all is flexibility in the learning process. So basically your teacher is your facilitator, right? So it has increased our flexibility of learning anytime, anywhere, okay, from e-content, from e-books, right, from internet, YouTube, anything you can, right? So whatever content you have, you pick it up that from the internet, you go through it, try to understand the concept, discuss with your teachers, your instructors, your faculty members, your professors, and you get the thing done, right? Of course, there should be some experiential mode of learning, so learning becomes more activity based. It's playing with knowledge. Learning is more active as well. And of course, self directed. So, curriculum is being developed on the needs of the students. So, whatever curriculum we develop, it is based on the industry needs, it is based on the needs of the students. So, students play a crucial role in the development of curriculum based on their demand for the industry, based on their job prospects, everything. So it's a self-directed learning, it's an experiential learning, and it's a flexible way of learning the things. So these are the three key terms associated with student-centric learning process. Of course, it demands student participation, right? So what kind of activity can you go back and plan when you are adapting to the student-centric learning process? Visualization, right? So that they can review, they can reflect on. Another important aspect is think, pair, and share. So you can make some small groups, activity groups, you can brainstorm them, you can discuss with them, let them discuss also with their peers, and let them come up with some new solutions. Group activities, group work, collaborative work, peer to peer feedback, peer to peer assessment as well. Role playing. Normally, role playing we normally do in literature based subjects, some process drama or acting out some scenarios or bringing out some spontaneity, or some assigned roles are there. But definitely in technical courses we have seldom used role play. Mostly we use think, peer, share, group activities, group project work, group assignments, likewise problem based projects, even problem sheets, tutorial sheets. You may plan tutorial sessions, you may plan and accordingly you give them certain problems and give them certain formulas so that they can go through the formulas and try to substitute them, get to solve certain problems or practical situations. Mixing your teaching modalities, that is, of course, COVID has given us this particular virtual platform or online platform which we had been delivering rather than face to face delivery. So it's a mix, it should be a mix of face to face as well as learning through e content, learning through online mode, virtual mode, listening to the lecture videos, listening to the e content videos. Definitely. So it has become a multi teaching modality, right? So mixing up everything so that if a student is not able to follow a particular lecture, or if he or she is absent in a particular lecture, he or she can go back, listen to my recorded video, and get the same knowledge and come back to the next class. But the responsibility lies with the students once again, not to the teachers. Teachers can only deliver, teachers can only provide the links, but the student also should be cooperative enough, self learner. Unless and until you are a self learner, it is impossible for you to be successful at each and every stage of your life. uh, Team teaching, of course, co-teaching or team teaching, it's a synergy being that is being formed across some specialities. Say for example, we had been teaching some course, around 8 to 10 faculty members were teaching that particular course. We took the best practices, right? We try to take help from each and every in the process. A few were asked to make some tutorials, few were asked to frame the mid semester test questions, few were asked to make the end semester level questions, few are asked to make the quizzes in between, assignments in between, how to plan for the lab evaluation taking place across 50 or 60 different groups, likewise. So definitely team teaching is an important part where there should be a synergy between the different specialities or different disciplines. So this is how you should encourage your student participation or motivate your students to participate. Use of social media. This is another important aspect these days in learning some things. Learning from the Wikipedia, learning from the blogs, learning from Twitter, learning from some discussions that are taking place online. Definitely yes, some discussions are there which are really useful, but of course you have to eliminate out the bad things of social media and understand and realize the usefulness of the different blogs or the Wikipedia or the Twitter statements or any discussions which are taking place online. Some development of some creativity, some sort of decision making ability the students. So creativity all of a sudden cannot be made. We have to assign some sort of activity through which we make our students creative, right? So some good ideas, some encouraging ideas, some innovative ideas, of course, will come from the student and will make them learn the things or the concepts more easily. Uh, another another important things which we often our university also practice or encourage some senior students, undergraduate students or postgraduate students, or which we call as teaching assistants or teaching mentors or teaching buddies, or these sort of things. Of course, you learn preferably from your seniors, from your peers. You learn more from your seniors, from your peers. So these sort of engagement is definitely enhance the teaching learning process. Playing with knowledge. This is another important thing, that uh, putting some questions, making some novel connections, or trying to make something innovative from your expertise, from your knowledge, from your technical skills. Presenting learning creatively. So how do you be how can you be creative in our writing, in our arts, in our movies, that is beyond essays or something of that sort. So mostly applicable for the arts background people, but of course presenting or learning creatively, so definitely it involves some creativity involved in there, some seminars that they do, some technical presentations that they do, some project reports that they make. So definitely some creativity must be there. So these are some of the models. I'll discuss one or two of them. One is the cold learning cycle, which is one of the new directions to teaching, what we are calling as experiential learning. First of all, let me define what is experiential learning to give a feel of what kind of an activity that we do. Experiential activity is basically an activity that we learn through our hands-on exposure, right? So, in technical courses, we had been practicing experiential learning in our university for the last 3 or 4 years. So we have been engaging in each semester, we have been engaging one activity which is beyond the curriculum. At the same time, it will give you some theoretical knowledge, some hands-on exposure on it. Say, for example, people who are learning electrical engineering or instrumentation engineering or electronics engineering, preferably, they do not exactly have IoT in their course as a regular curriculum, but we have put it as an activity of internet of things in such a way that they learn something hands on and they apply them in their project work, in some assignment that they do later on in different parts of the curriculum. So basically it's a learning exposure, it's an exposure that is given to them hands on beyond curriculum. So that is what we call as experiential learning. So basically it's a cycle that you may see working on some active experimentation, that's hands-on, definitely some concrete experience, some reflections or some observations, and developing some abstract conceptualization. So relate to the theory and scholarships based on certain hands-on practice or development of the growth in knowledge, depth of understanding, as well as improved practice. So basically, coming from practice, experiential activity comes from some hands-on practice from which the students can learn better and do well in their projects, in their technical knowledge. Another concept is there which has certain statements, some educational theories. They come across some from practice, some provide uh, through which to teach or uh, provide an appropriate lens through which they would like to teach. So there are different philosophical approaches developed by Carlile and Jordan in the year 2005, and mostly developed upon the ideas of idealism. That is, what on focuses on ideas over experience and action. So, certain philosophical idealism, some empirism, that means empirical formulas, or what we do repeated experimentation, we are getting some values based on which we develop some empirical formula. Behaviorism, observable behavior change through some training. So if you train any person, any student, any teacher, so what is the observable behavioral change that is taking place? Some positivity in the students. So students receive some information as independent objects. So some sort of positiveness in a student, some cognitive behavior, some constructive behaviors, some pragmatic behavior in the students to reach certain goal, not to be ideological, not they can be adaptable as well. Some constructiveness of different meanings and different way of understanding the things. Cognitive based on the study of human thought process and memory, that how will you inculcate, how will you understanding the student psychology, and based on which you deliver, based on the level of the students, you start delivering content. So this is the way you must understand in the student centric learning process. Some empiricism, some idealism, but based on the behavioral change, based on the positivity, based on the cognitive behavior, based on constructiveness, and based on the pragmatic behavior of the students. There is a very famous Sanskrit sloka, that one which liberates us is education. I'll tell the meaning. Uh, Only real knowledge can lead you to liberation, and one that liberates you is nothing but education. So this is the basic meaning of this Sanskrit sloka that we have in our cultural or traditional Indian culture. So one that liberates us is your education, and the real knowledge that you get leads to liberation. Another paradigm shift was proposed by Thomas Kuhn. Uh, that is basically from moving from the teacher centric approach to the student centric approach. So the traditional teaching, how it, the teacher owns everything, the teacher owns knowledge, conveys to student, and how it moves from the modern day teaching where a student takes initiative to learn. But once again, another important thing, the student should take the initiative to learn. So it is the responsibility of the student to learn rather than the responsibility of the teacher to deliver. Otherwise it becomes once again the monologue or the one way process of delivering in the class. So the teacher brings a content. In case of the teacher centric approach, the teacher brings some content and answers into the training room. But as a facilitator, you must encourage some questions, some guidelines to the students for acquiring that knowledge. How will the student develop the skills to learn, and how will they acquire their knowledge? So this is another important thought process by Thomas Kuhn. Uh, these are some of the literature aspects that we are discussing now, and almost we are at the end. So we are not calling key takeaways; we are calling it key take always. So this is a differentiation from what we normally expect. Normally, we talk about what are my learning outcomes, what are my key takeaways from this particular delivery of lecture of 1.5 hours. It's the key take always it will be. It will definitely reflect that SCL or student centric learning is more important than a teacher focused learning, right? So of course there is a paradigm shift which has already started, which has already taken place in different institutes, different schooling levels, and as well as in the universities as us. So you must appreciate also the different educational theories and the way they are informing to improve upon our teaching practice to move on from TCL to SCL. And it should appreciate also the various classroom activities that are used to promote SCL in practice, and reflecting on the SCL practices, what they are already being using. And of course, some discussions on the personal and the institutional changes that require to facilitate this paradigm shift from TCL to SCL, right? So these are some of the key aspects that as a teacher we must understand and follow. And my bottom line is that students should be self motivated enough to learn, students should be responsible enough to learn, and as a teacher you must ignite the excitation, you must ignite the inspiration level, you must work upon the inspiration level and the things, and you should make the resources readily available for the students, the e-content available for the students, and there should be a mixing of both your lecture delivery as well as the e-content, so that the student should come in the next class prepared enough to uh, discuss something, to put up their questions, to raise their questions, to uh, work upon some activities, do some tutorial practice, do some practice sessions, and work well with the subject, and gain at the same time gain knowledge. And of course, the students, by this experiential learning or by this hands-on training or through the practical sessions, they will learn more rather than the teacher-centric learning process. So these are some of the references that we have picked up for today's session, mostly dealing with the Carly and Jordan principle and the student-centric learning approach by McMahon. So these are some of the contents that you may go through for which, but of course, the self being a student, the self motivation should come from within. You should be self directed to get exposed to student centric learning process, because student is 80% active and the teacher's role is only 20% in the delivery, in making the content readily available so that the students can engage in some group activities to learn something new, something permanent. So thank you so much once again, IGP, for giving me this particular platform to deliver on a very relevant topic. And I'll expect that there will be at least some good number of questions to follow in my session. Thank you so much. Over to IGP.
Thank you so much, sir, for your rich content presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely. After your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention. Learn and grow together, IGP knowledge seekers. Once again, thank you so much, dear sir, for your presentation. Now, sir, it's time for our question answer session, which is one more valuable part of our regular webinars. Honorable sir, please stay with us. After a short video, we will be back in our session part 2, which is the question answer part.
Okay, fine.
Dear IGB knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. Welcome back, sir.
Yes.
Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box. We are waiting for your question. After question answer, we have the webinar certification and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Our question from Facebook user: Good evening, sir. What have you observed on the impact of teaching learning in most of the students across global after the pandemic?
I think you haven't been through our lecture on higher education and post-COVID challenges, which was delivered through IGP platform on 25th of December. You may go through this particular session. That would be more better way of understanding that what challenges which we are basically facing on post-COVID times on the teaching learning process in most of the students. That students are not they are reluctant to learn. First of all, they are used to certain situations which they have not faced challenges in between. Basically, their school level exams didn't happen. They were gradually promoted in their classes. So this sort of feeling that this sort of relaxation that has been given during this COVID situation, this is having a serious impact on the students, especially we are facing post-COVID times. So definitely, the teaching learning process is having a greater impact, and it is a greater challenge for the teachers, for us to work upon and overcome these particular challenges. We do expect that this situation will prevail for another 5-7 years down the line, because the effect is far reaching. So we are expecting that around 5-7 batches that we have to go through to once again motivate them and to bring to the mainstream of learning, and at the same time inspire them, provoke them to learn. So this is what we observed during the post-COVID times. The students had been facing, or the major challenges of teaching learning process that took place. There was suddenly, all of a sudden, there was some loss of contact between students and teachers, and gradually they are not able to cope up as of now. That this is the challenge which we are facing currently with the first year students, which come directly through their plus 2 level of education in our Indian context. So there are several students who are having very high marks, but still they're not performing well in their first year's exams, which we have observed. Certainly, it has got some good impact, but gradually we are trying to motivate, trying to work upon, and develop or devise certain means by virtue of which they can once again gain interest in the studies, and they can gain a good environment and peaceful environment, good mental health conditions to once again get up to that particular level. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Question from Flomi. Good evening, Dr. Shovik Ganguly. What is the main goal of teacher-centered method of teaching? Why it is important? What teachers focus on student-centered learning?
We had been discussing about both the methods, but mostly we talked about today about student-centric learning. So, of course, in a teacher-centered learning, the main goal was on lies on the delivery of the teachers, right? How well that they can deliver in a classroom, how well they can prepare their materials to deliver in the classroom, how well they can prepare their presentation in the classroom. That was most important, or the main goal of teacher focused teaching. When it comes to student centric learning, It's all about how you engage the students more in a more interestingly, engage them through some activities, through some creative activities rather, and develop in them the higher order thinking skills or the higher order intellectual skills that we discussed with in terms of Bloom's taxonomy. Thank you so much once again. If you have more questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much, sir. Question from Jordan. Good evening, sir. Why student-centered learning is important in 21st century? Thank you.
Uh, in the 21st century, we are moving through such an era that we are heading on for the COVID times, on the post COVID times. We are facing definitely some challenges due to the post COVID era. And we are coming through some blended way of learning as well. It's not completely offline, it's sometimes online as well. And students have different ways of learning the things. Now they learn well from the YouTube rather than textbooks, right? So of course, through different activities, let us engage them through some learning through some YouTubes, or learning through some internet materials, or learning through some ebook study. How well they can plan up and how they can upskill themselves. So that's why we do find that student centric learning is equally important in the 21st century.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box. We are waiting for your question. Okay, sir. We have done all the question answer. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for your time in IGP. We have learned a lot from you with new topics. It will add some value to day our activity along with our academic and professional growth. Honorable sir, hope to see you again with a new topic and a new day. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you so much once again, you and IGP, for delivering or giving such a wonderful platform. And I'll be happy to speak again, once again, in the month of February with some definitely some new topics and new assignments for me. Uh, uh, I hope that people or participants have learned a lot today, and it was completely a different flavor altogether from my technical side, not from my technical side, but looking at the educational perspective and looking at the perspective of a technical education. Thank you so much, IGP, once again, and let's sign off from now.
Thank you so much, sir. IGP Knowledge Seekers, it's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our regular webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certification. welcome back again. Today program name is Student Centric Learning and the code is IGP 4490. Without code, no one is eligible for certificates. With code, you can claim your certificates anytime. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, today's program name is Student Centric Learning and the code is IGP 4490. Without code, no one is eligible for certificates. With code, you can claim your certificates anytime. How to claim a certificate? You have to go www.eduigp.com. Then click sign in. Then log in if you already have an account or create a new account if you are new. Once logged in, click free webinars. Select the webinar title and click continue course. Get enrolled if you haven't enrolled yet. Type the code in your certificate code box. Click Get Your Certificate. It is auto downloadable in PDF file already. Just check it in your file manager or download folder. Don't forget to leave a review in our Facebook page, website, and Google. Dear IGP Knowledge Seekers, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular activity. Now time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. You have to go www.slido.com and find today's quiz or scan this QR code for direct joining and the code is event. After a short video, we will be back again and then we'll start our online quiz competition. Dear IGP Knowledge Seekers, now time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. Go to www.slido.com and find today's quiz or scan this QR code for direct joining and the code is EVEN. Please join in slide with code and the code is EVEN event. Already 42, 43 people joined. Please join. Hurry up. We will start after 2 minutes.
আপনিও দিচ্ছেন জয়েন
না না আমি কাজ করতেছি এখন থেকে জয়েন
আমি
চেঞ্জ
জয়েন
হইতেছে না কেন সেটা বাটন কার চেঞ্জ করে
হ্যাঁ অ্যান্সার তো আমার কাছে নেই আমি জয়েন দিতে আমি একটা সার্টিফিকেট
After 1 minute, we will start our online quiz competition. So, guys, hurry up, join with Slido, and the code is EVEN, even, and the code is even. After 1 minute, we will start our online quiz competition. We are waiting for your joining. Please join, hurry up, and um,
কালকে কি আসবে আগে আদৌ না করো
তোমার আপু আসবে
তারপরে কি আবার কি হবে?
আমার আসবে আপু
okay. Let's start. Our first question is blended learning means option 1 online learning, option 2 face to face plus online learning. Which one is correct? Give your correct answer. And the correct answer is face to face plus online learning. 98% people are correct in the leaderboard. We have first position Jordan, second Kidwana, third Charlie. Move to the second question. What reveals how student action contribute to their progress and specific learning gains? Option 1 experiments, option 2 data. And the correct answer is data. 56% people are correct. In the leaderboard, first position is holding Dr. Albert, second Christiana, third Charlie. Moving to the third question, the lowest level of learning is first option evaluating, second understanding. And the correct answer is understanding. 87% people are correct in the leaderboard. First position is holding Dennis, second Flomi, third Evelyn. Moving to the fourth question, who gave the first student presentation? Katie, option 2, Darren. And the correct answer is Darren. 30% people are correct. In the leaderboard, first position is holding Marvelous, second Shriki, third Nicomedes, fourth Veranda, fifth Elsa. Fifth question is what is a learner-centric environment? Taking charge of the class or shifting focus on the instructor to the student? Which one is correct? Shifting focus from the instructor to the student is correct. 93% people are correct in the leaderboard. First position is holding Marvelous, second Tricky, third Nicomedes, fourth Veneranda, fifth Elsa. The sixth question is which is not a future of adult learning? Subject centered or relate learning with job? Which one is correct? Give your correct answer quickly to holding first position. 57% people are correct. The correct answer is subject centered. In the leaderboard, first position is still holding Marvelous, second Nicomedes, third Veneranda, fourth Elsa, fifth Dr. Albert. In the leader, moving to the seventh question, facilitator style teaching encourages independent learning. Is it true? Option 2. Is it false? The correct answer is true. 98% people are correct. In the leaderboard, first position is Marvelous, second Elsa, third Nicomedes. Moving to the eighth question, which of the following is not a dimension of student engagement? First option, tactile. Option 2, behavioral. And the correct answer is tactile. 63% people are correct. In the leaderboard, first position, Marvelous. We have second, Nicomedes, third, Veneranda. The ninth question is which is not one of the types of learning experience? First option, practice. Second, teamwork. Which one is correct? You think practice or teamwork? And the correct answer is teamwork. 41% people are correct. In the leaderboard, first position is Nikomori, second Ricky, third Marvelous. The last question, what is not an activity of a collaboration learning experience? Option 1, annotate on the shared document individually for submission. Second option, reflect on their role as part of the team. The correct answer is annotate on the shared document individually for submission. 82% people are correct. In the leaderboard, wow, congratulations, committees, Ricky, Marvelous, Princess. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations again. Slido will take a few minutes for finalizing the result. And after that, we will issue our online quiz competition certificates on our official Facebook page and group. And the name is Institute of Global Professionals. At the end of the moment of our session, we can say properly feed your skills. Never stop learning because life never stop teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want your participation in every program. If you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end live button, again once thanks to all IGP knowledge seekers for your active participation as always. See you in the next session. Thank you.